tonight at 10 on FX. Next day, FX on Hulu.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, it's your homie, FuturisticMike, and I'm back with another Snowfall video if you're new. Now, this is going to be the review and recap for Snowfall Season 4, Episode 7. If you're a fan of Snowfall, if you love Snowfall, hit the like on this video. If you're new to my channel and this is the first time you're finding me, subscribe and turn on those post notifications so when I post videos on Snowfall, you get them. Now, the title to this episode is Through a Glass Darkly. Now, this show is getting crazier and crazier. There's such a different vibe in the 4th season of this show than there ever was in previous seasons. I mean, the vibe is completely different. We've seen Franklin really breaking bad in this episode. You guys remember in a previous season when Jerome told Rob to slap his motherfucking daddy? Well, that's exactly what Franklin did in this episode. He smacked his daddy, and I mean, he did it hard too. I think it was messed up what Alton did, but he did feel like that was the best move. You know, that was his opinion. I don't think he should have did it, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna get right into the recap. Now, when the episode first starts, we see everybody at Jam and Jerome's, and Franklin is telling all them that, you know, business has to get back to normal, that Leon is going to be controlling the projects again, that, you know, they need soldiers and stuff like that. And Jerome is just looking at Franklin like he just wants to beat his ass. He's looking like he's mad as hell. You know, he's still mad because of the fact that they hid that Reid was CIA, and he feels like he's left out. Now, Leon tells Franklin that he's not really in the mood for no partying or nothing like that because they're having a sobriety birthday for Alton. Then we see Alton sitting in the car, and he's looking at this card that the reporter gave him. So he's just thinking what he needs to do. And we see him go inside. It says happy sobriety birthday. We see Louie and Franklin and the whole family. They cooked him ribs. They got him a cake and everything. Now we see the whole family having a good time. Sissy is talking to Alton. They're sharing some laughs. We see Franklin, Louie, and everybody laughing and everything. And Alton, he's having a good time, but not as good as everybody else. You can tell that he really has something on his mind. Now next, we see Reid getting on a plane. He's getting ready to take this trip with Avi because he has to go and check on that missing shipment of guns. And as soon as Reid gets on that plane, he starts drinking. I mean, this dude is really mourning the loss of his brother. He's taking it really hard. Now next, we see Alton at the shelter. He sees Wanda and he talks to her. He says, "Did you get on those job applications and do what you need to do?" And she said, "No, but I'll get on that first thing." And then we hear a baby crying. A baby is left alone by itself. And Wanda and Alton are looking for the father. They end up finding him on the side of the building, dead. I guess he overdosed. Now next we see Franklin and Peaches in the car. And Peaches says that they're being followed. So Franklin says, pull the car over. They're trying to see what their next move will be. And they feel like they might have been being followed for a while. Since Franklin has money, power, and he has the plug and stuff, they feel like people want to go after that. Now next we see Alton talking to a cop, and the cop is telling him that once this rock enters your system and stuff, it just shuts down your heart, and he says that's what happened. Now next we see Leon walking through the projects with one of his boys, and you know, he has to get things running in the projects again, but he's not familiar with these apartment complexes right here because Fatback ran this complex. But now since Fatback is gone, Leon is in charge of doing things in this area. So he goes up to Big Dion. This is Fatback's cousin. And if you guys watch Power, then you know that this is the guy that played Zig on Power Season 6. The dude who was getting the drugs for Tasha and stuff outside her daycare. If you guys are true OG Power fans, then you know this was Zig in only Power Season 6. He wasn't in any other seasons. Now Leon is telling him how things are going to be going, and Big Dion doesn't want to hear anything Leon has to say. He says that, Fatback took care of him, and Leon's not about to come around here acting like he runs things. He doesn't want to hear nothing Leon has to say. Now next we see Franklin meeting with Gustavo because Reid is out of town. And Franklin tells Gustavo that Reid was messed up the other night at the club. He was drinking and drunk and stuff. And he tells Gustavo that he needs to talk to Reid as soon as possible. If you guys haven't noticed, Gustavo doesn't really talk much when he does business. He doesn't really exchange too many words with anybody. Now next we see Alton talking to Sissy, and he's saying that, he wants out. He wants to go somewhere else where there's no violence. He doesn't want to be around any of this anymore. We know he's thinking heavy right now because of the reporter. And Sissy says that she's not abandoning her son again, because we know that at the end of season 1 and most of season 2, she wasn't around Franklin. She didn't agree with what he was doing, but she came around and, she started talking to him again, and she became part of his life, and she doesn't want to leave him again. But Alton says he wants Franklin to get out. And, Sissy says that's his decision. If you can convince him, then okay, but you can't make him do anything. Now next, we see Reid and Avi on the plane, and they're both just drinking, doing coke and stuff. And Avi says, I wouldn't recommend this as a coping mechanism. And Reid just acts like he doesn't care. He's just trying to get drunk and high out of his mind. He lost his brother. He didn't get to see him one last time. And the things that his father said to him, all this stuff is really getting to him. And you can tell, man, Reid is just going downhill. Now next we see these two girls bring a dead body to Manboy, and they're trying to say that it's Leon. So they open the trunk, and there's a dead body in there, all right, but it ain't Leon. It's just some dead dude that they killed, trying to pass him off as Leon. They're trying to get paid. I think they said like $5,000 or something. And Manboy is like, you bitches must be crazy. You're just bringing me some random body and expect me to pay you? Get your asses out of here. He pulls a gun on him and everything. Now next we see Leon go to Jerome, and he's asking Jerome to help him. He says there's some OG in the projects that won't listen to him and won't hear him out, because Fatback was running things. And Jerome knows a lot of people from back in the day from the projects, so he just wants Jerome's help. Jerome said that Fatback did a lot, and now that he's gone, Leon is going to have to step up, and that's his responsibility now. But he said he's going to go with them. Then when Leon leaves, we hear Louie and Jerome not really getting along. Louie is voicing her opinion, and Jerome says, look, I don't know what to tell you. He says, I got to do what I got to do to please Mr. CIA man. And, he's just in his feelings still because nobody told him what was going on with Reid. But he says, look, if you want things done a certain way, you go down to the projects and handle it yourself. Now next we see Khadijah saying to Manboy that, maybe he should go ahead and pay the two of them for bringing him a body. And he's like, hell no. Them bitches just want to bring you anybody that looks like one of them saints, and they're trying to get paid. It ain't happening. Manboy says, first you trying to just gut anybody and kill anybody. Now you're trying to get random people killed. He said, let me do things my way. And Khadijah's like, well, you better hurry up and do things your way because it takes some time to call off a hit. Now next we see Alton in the bar waiting for the reporter. He's not having a drink or nothing though, just a soda water. I thought maybe he was gonna slip up, but he stayed clean. Then the reporter comes in and he sits down with her, and she has a recorder, and she presses record, and Alton starts to tell her the whole story. Now next we see Jerome in the projects cooking out, grilling some burgers, And we see Leon, and Wanda walks up to him. And Leon says, "You look not so bad." And that's really the best he can say about Wanda, because we all know before she looked like absolute shit. You know, she was missing teeth and everything. So him saying that she looks not as bad, that's actually a compliment, honestly. Now Wanda says, "You didn't tell me that Alton was Franklin's dad." And Leon's like, "Because I didn't think that mattered." And then Wanda tells Leon that she heard some stuff when she was in the shelter, some stuff that might mean something. She said she heard some lady talking to Alton, and she has some information. And she says, "If the information is useful, can you put me on?" And Leon is like, "Hell no, I ain't putting you on. Look what happened last time." I really do think there's a possibility that Wanda might stay clean this time, but you still can't really trust it, because they put her on last time and, you know, she slipped up as easy as she did. So you can't trust her just like that. I mean, she was just a crackhead. Then we hear Leon say, "Get the hell out of here," to Wanda, because Jerome is coming over and he wants to holler at Big Dion. He says, "Yo, you Chris Dickinson's peoples, right?" You know, Jerome, he knows everybody from back in the day, and he's asking dude if he's still training and stuff like that. And dude's like, "I went to jail. I knocked the nigga out for saying I was taking them roids." So him and Jerome are just chopping it up, and Big Dion says, "How do you know this nigga right here?" He's talking about Leon, and Jerome says, "That's my partner. That's my business partner. We work together." So Big Dion says, "Okay, so we can work together and everything's gonna be cool as long as the overhead's good." Because, you know, Fatback used to cover the overhead and everything, man. He used to cover everything. Big Dion says, "Look, as long as you don't mess with my people, we don't mess with yours. You know, if something happens to mine, something happens to you." So they pretty much came to an understanding. It seems like Big Dion don't play. You know, it's the first time we're meeting him. We never got introduced to him when Fatback was around. But, you know, now that he's gone, we're meeting his family and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Then next we see Sissy. She bought something new. You know, she's wearing it on her wrist. And Franklin's like, "Oh, so you bought something new. You deserve it." And she's like, "Yes, I do." So they're talking about, you know, their next move with Paul Davis. I guess Sissy's giving away some money, and Franklin's like, "So I guess you never thought you was gonna be in the position to give away $250,000, right?" And she said, "No, but it feels good." It's crazy that they're in the position to give away that much money. I mean, that's a lot of money. Now next we see Alton at Irene's house, and, you know, he's just telling her more stuff. He's looking around. He sees that she's real serious about what she's doing. You know, he sees that she has pictures of everything on the wall, and she says she wants more. She wants everything. And Alton says, "Look, I'll give you everything, but you cannot include my family in the article. You can't say us by name or nothing like that." So she agrees that she wouldn't do that. Now next we see Reid and Avi, and Reid is introduced to Avi's banker, and Reid wants to know why the hell his money is missing. And she says, "I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. You know, I'm sorry that this happened, but we'll make it right. I promise we'll make it right." And Reid is just pissed off, man. He wants this shit right now. And I don't blame him. That's $15 million. I mean, who wouldn't be pissed off about that? So Reid walks away and he's pissed off. Now next we see Alton, and he's looking in the mirror at himself because he can't believe what he just did. And then he goes up to Sissy and says, "Look, I'm sorry for what I just did, but I did what was best for the family. I did what I thought was right." So she's just looking, you know, wondering what he did. It didn't show us what he said to her, but we know what he was going to say to her. Now next we see Jerome talking to everybody, you know, everybody that's associated with Big Dion. And he's telling them how things are going to go, how business is ran and stuff like that. And then somebody comes and pulls a gun on Leon. So they turn around and see that it's some crackhead. And she's saying that there's a bounty on his head. She's saying she's doing it because she needs the money. And then one of Jerome and Leon's new soldiers come up behind her and put a gun to her head. And Leon says it's going to be hard to collect that bounty when you're dead. And then the girl's like, "Look, I'm sorry, man. Like, my bills are due, you know, the electricity's getting cut off and stuff like that. I don't remember if that's exactly what she said, but she was pretty much saying that things were hard and she needs the money ASAP. So Leon's like, look, if you needed something, all you had to do was ask. So he puts some money in her pocket and Jerome grabs it out and he's like, nah, you know, he's trying to get some information out of her. Now next we see Reid putting on a hat, a dark jacket and everything. You know, he's getting ready to go out and do some dirt. You can already tell. And then Avi comes to the door and he says, look, please don't do what I think you're going to do. Then next we see Irene talking to her ex-husband, Henry, and she said, look, I know I wasn't the best wife. I know I wasn't the best mother, but this is why, because of this job. She's saying that what she does is so important and she gives it her all. And, you know, she was just saying all this stuff to her husband. It's funny because when I see Henry on this show, all I can think is Grandpa Willie from All American. Now, next we hear Louie saying following behind their dumbasses is going to be the death of her. And Franklin says, look, we can't go spinning off the rails now. He said we got to stick together. And then Sissy knocks on the door. Peaches brings her in and she says she has to talk to Franklin. Now next we see Reid in this dude's bedroom who he thinks stole his money, and you know, he wakes him up. He says, did you steal my money? And you know, he's just questioning him. Then next we see Franklin, he's talking to Sissy and Alton. And Alton is explaining why he did what he did. He said he did it because he thought that was the right thing to do. And Franklin is like, no, you should have talked to me first. Franklin is mad as hell. He says, why would you do something without talking to me first? That is stupid. And things get heated, man. It gets super tense in this moment. And Alton says, look, don't you see what you're doing to us? You're killing all of us. And Alton kind of gets in Franklin's face. Franklin gets mad and slaps the shit out of him, man. He slapped his daddy, man, for real. He slapped the hell out of him. And Franklin tells him never to show his face there again. You know, he says that Alton can no longer call him son. And Alton starts saying something like, through the glass darkly, and Franklin says, stop with all that poetry shit. And it just gets crazy, man. You know, Franklin tells him to get out. I really agree with Franklin being so mad. I don't know if he had to slap him like that, but Alton definitely should not have went to the reporter. Now, we see Reid doing what he has to do. He tied this dude up and he's pretty much drowning him, man. He's putting water on his face with a sheet over his face and he's drowning him until he gets some answers. Then next we see Franklin calling Gustavo. He says for Reid to contact him ASAP because it's super important. He's trying to tell Reid, you know, about the reporter and stuff. Now next we see Reid. He did what he did and dude's just laying there all messed up. And then the cops are at the door. The cops want to get in. We see Reid escapes and they bust in, but then Avi's there with the cops. So maybe Avi is the one stealing Reid's money. I mean, he did try to do it to Franklin before in season 3, remember? Then next we see Franklin go over to T. He goes over to her house and he just needs comfort. T is massaging his head and she's just being there for him. Then we see Irene typing up her paper and she's really going in on it. You know, she's giving it her all. Then we see Franklin. It keeps showing Franklin, then Irene, and it keeps switching back and forth between them. And Franklin says to T that he really thinks he's in trouble, that they're all in trouble. Then we see Irene's paper. It shows what she's doing. It shows what she's typing. And then it shows her go to the editor and it shows her talking to them. So she's definitely getting ready to publish the paper. I think it was a really solid episode, man. It was crazy. The craziest part of this episode was Reid trying to mess that dude up over the money. And then when Franklin slapped his dad, like that was crazy. But this episode was solid. What did you guys think of this episode? Comment your thoughts down below. What are your theories, thoughts, predictions, and everything else? Keep supporting your boy, and I'll be continuing to bring y'all Snowfall content in the future. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you can never miss a video. If you guys want to donate to the channel, I got links below to the PayPal and Cash App accounts. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me get out of here, y'all. It's your boy Futuristic Mike, and I'll talk to you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.